Her name was Myra Jennings. She was employed in the office of a wholesale silk importer. She'd just come back from the country. The photograph over the sideboard was her mother's, who lived in Waterbury, Connecticut. The girlfriend with whom she shared the flat was away on her vacation, and all that sort of thing, don't you know? I mean, pleasant gossip from the home. She had just begun to tell him that, though she yielded to no one in her admiration for Ronald Colman, she couldn't help saying that William Powell had a sort of something that kind of seemed to place him sort of even higher in a girl's estimation, when there occurred one of those interruptions which I understand are always happening in New York. If you're a native, you hardly notice them. You just look over your shoulder and say, "Oh, and go on trying to get Los Angeles on the radio. But Freddie, being new to the place, was a little startled, because, you see, what happened was that just as they were sitting there chatting of this and that, there was a sudden crash. The door of the hallway, which opened onto the landing outside, was burst open, and in surged an extraordinarily hefty bloke with a big moustache. He wore a bowler hat. Behind him came a couple of other birds, also hefty, and similarly bowler-hatted. "Ah," said Bloke A, in a satisfied sort of voice. Freddie did a bit of gaping. He was a good deal on the non-plus side. He supposed, as his head began to clear, that this was one of those cases of bandits break into home and rob too. "Seems to me," said the bloke, addressing his associate blokes, "this case is open and shut." The other two nodded. "That's right," said one. "Open and shut," said the other. "Yes," said the bloke, summing up. "That's about what it is. Open and shut." Miss Jennings, who'd been dusting the photograph of her mother, now appeared to notice for the first time that she had visitors. She spoke as follows. "What in the world do you think you're doing?" The bloke lit a cigar. So did his associates, 2 cigars. "That's all right, Mrs. Silvers," he said. "Sure it's all right," said the other 2. "You boys are witnesses," said the bloke. "Sure we're witnesses," said the other 2. "You can give evidence we found Mrs. Silvers alone in her apartment with this pie-faced cluck." "Sure we can give evidence that we found her alone in her apartment with this pie-faced cluck." "Then that's all right," said the bloke contentedly. "That is all her husband will want to know. It makes the thing open and shut." And it came home to Freddie with a sickening thud that these fellows were not, as he'd supposed, a hold-up gang, but detectives. He ought to have recognized them from the start, he tells me, by the bowler hats. What had misled him was the fact that at the outset they weren't smoking cigars. When they started smoking cigars, the scales fell from his eyes. He gulped a bit. In fact, he gulped rather more than a bit. He realized now what his mistaken sense of knightly chivalry had made him stumble into. The soup, no less. With the best intentions, meaning only to scatter light and sweetness on every side, he had become a sugar daddy surprised in love nest. The female of the species, however, appeared unwilling to take this thing